You're directing your first draw steel adventure and you know the right monsters will make or break it. Well, here they are. Hey there, adventurers. My name is Judd, and this is Short Rest Studios, where we believe fun builds community. Draw Steel, the new RPG from MCDM, is a powerhouse game full of intense cinematic action. If you're a new director, that's the GM in Draw Steel parlance, you want to make sure your first Draw Steel session is the most fun possible for you and your first level players. That means you want the right monsters, the ones that are unique, terrifying, and the right amount of challenging. Here are 5 of the best. Plus, I'm dropping a bonus 6th monster that'll terrify your players in the best possible way. And you'll want to stick around to the end to find out how you can win a free Draw Steel Core Rules PDF bundle. First up is a classic, Kobolds. In the timescape of Draw Steel, Kobolds live pretty much anywhere, and they've survived by mastering the art of collective defense. From shield walls to their relentless innovation with weapons and traps, a legion of Kobolds isn't to be taken lightly. If your heroes are forced to take on Kobolds, they'll need to look out for everything from exploding javelins to flaming spike pit traps. Couple all this with the fact that the little buggers know their terrain inside and out, and your heroes take their lives in their hands when they enter the realm of Kobolds. Not only do they make their own traps, but they know all of nature's traps and tricks and terrain hazards as well. Instead of riddling an opponent with arrows, they might decide to shoot a nearby beehive and wreak havoc that way. Kobolds also like to train other creatures to do some of their dirty work. The Gummy Brick, for example, is a deadly ooze that Kobolds love to train and keep around for the company, I guess. They've been known to train burrowing shield-scaled Drangolins to dig tunnel networks for their lairs, or burrow up into an enemy camp with a dozen Kobold invaders. In the worlds of Draw Steel, Kobolds share a lot of similarities with their counterparts in D&D 5e. They're dragon-like humanoids who have an affinity for traps and for dragons. In fact, most of them believe their ancestors were created by dragons, and that belief is supported by a deep magical connection that causes Kobolds living in a dragon's domain to adopt the color of that dragon's scales for generations. But that's not the only way they become more like dragons. The Kobolds' reverence for the dragon leads them to try to act and live in ways that mirror that dragon. For instance, meteor Kobolds like to use hanging traps. That's a reflection of the meteor dragon's hanging spaceborne lair. Dragons and Kobolds both benefit from this relationship. A dragon can establish its domain in half the time if they let Kobolds live there. Kobolds living in a dragon's domain become immune to the negative effects of that domain. Incidentally, dragon lore in Draw Steel is pretty freaking cool. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a video on it. Attaching Kobolds to a dragon's domain is always fun, so hold on to that thought for later in the video. Kobolds come in so many varieties in Draw Steel, from minions to more powerful warriors to magic users, that a director can build some pretty amazing encounters with them. Plus, in combat, you can use your Malice resource, which you can learn more about in my previous Draw Steel video, to allow multiple Kobolds to make free strikes, to break initiative and allow 2 Kobolds to take their turns in a row, or to create a shield wall that imposes a bane on strikes against them. Next up is the Angulotl. Don't let these cute little bright-colored froggy humanoids fool you. Angulotls live in freshwater swamps, rivers, and rainforests, and they prefer to defend their homes by just making them impossible to get to, like underwater caves and the like. That's what they prefer, but that doesn't mean they're not dangerous. They're not aggressive. In fact, if your heroes confront a group of Angulotls, they'll usually minimize the combat and run back home, but they will protect their homes fiercely. Angulotls have a delicate physiology. They can't be killed by toxins, but pollutants in their waters, like runoff from magical experiments, can corrupt them, causing them to attack any creature who crosses their path, even other Angulotls. Sometimes these environmental toxins even grant them strange abilities. These amphibious creatures depend on moisture. They'll suffocate without it, but they also take great advantage of it. When they're wet, Angulotls can move in combat without provoking opportunity attacks. In other words, if your heroes are fighting them, say, in a lake, they're really slippery. And that's just one reason Angulotls don't need to be aggressive. Oh, didn't I mention that they're poisonous? Yeah, their skin secretes a toxin that's dangerous to the touch. They also distill it into more potent forms to use on blades and darts. And Angulotl's favorite pet is a sort of combination eel, lizard, and spider known as a clawfish. They're small and they can slither through grass and climb trees as easily as they glide through water. Angulotls train them to do things like pull rafts, but they also train them to fight. While the Angulotls are shooting your heroes with poison darts, the clawfish are grabbing them and electrocuting them. Again, there's a variety of Angulotls to choose from the cleaver and the dart to the surprisingly powerful Daybringer. The director can use Malice to give Angulotls free strikes using the leapfrog ability, or to call in a rainstorm that covers the battlefield until the end of the round. My favorite of their abilities, though, is the resonating croak. Every Angulotl in an encounter puffs out their throat and starts to drone so loudly that other creatures have to succeed on an intuition test or take damage and even be slowed down.
Rising from the depths to terrorize your game night. It's Tablezilla from Legacy Game Tables.
Legacy Game Tables is a family-owned business started by game designers Clint and Jody Black in 2015. Not only are their signature game tables and other furniture like the massive Tablezilla strong and absolutely gorgeous, but they're created by real gamers who know what we need. They feature a wide-edge design that's perfect for RPG books, board game pieces, or drinks and snacks. There are even optional cup holders and a top that transforms your game table into a dining table. Head to legacygametables.com/shortreststudios for 10% off the gaming furniture of your dreams or the perfect holiday gift for a gamer you love. Third on our list of the best monsters for your first Draw Steel adventure, dwarves. Now I know what you're thinking. Dwarves aren't monsters. I mean, listen, I myself have quite the affinity for dwarves as a player, but don't sleep on these guys. Draw Steel puts a unique twist on this classic fantasy species. Dwarves in Draw Steel are small and strong, no surprise there, but their flesh is actually infused with stone. Some dwarves have an innate ability to actually communicate with stone. They're trained from a young age to move and shape stone with whispers, and the effect in combat can be deadly. Legends speak of stone singers who could move mountains with song, but once two stone singers harmonized and nearly ended the world. Beyond being great workers of stone, these dwarves are savvy engineers and technologists. The dwarves' use of technology is unique in their world, and it's based on pneumatic steam power. Yes, you heard that correctly. These are steampunk dwarves. Steam powers the construction of their formidable cities and structures, as well as their weapons of warfare. Their ancestors created autonomous steam-powered machines that the dwarves continue to research and find new ways to use. Dwarven operators have built powered suits from excavated parts of these ancient machines, suits that they can use for construction and for combat. There are also Servitor War Walkers. These machines can be cobbled together heaps of belts, gears, and plates, or elegant marvels of dwarven engineering. In battle, they carry crews of dwarves and keep enemies at a distance with their grasping claws and stunning blast. Yeah, dwarves driving steampunk mechs. I need a moment just to take in the utter beauty. The dwarves of Cal Calavar, once peacekeepers, are now the worst of a great society. They work for the conqueror Ajax the Invincible. Ajax needs bodies for both forced labor and for his body banks. These press gangs of dwarves take prisoners as tribute for Ajax, and they do their job well. Their leaders wield magic that allows them to shape and levitate metal to do things like wield multiple axes in battle. Imagine Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy as a dwarf. As with many of the monsters in Draw Steel, dwarves offer a lot of choices with varying levels of power, from axe throwers to gunners to the Marauder Lord, aka Yondu. You can use Malice to activate their breaching charge ability and destroy a section of wall while simultaneously causing damage to their opponents. They can make free strikes while climbing. They also have a magical ability known as Snaring Line that can injure and restrain their enemies. Coming in fourth on our list, demons. As with other games, demons are many and varied in Draw Steel. They're described as incarnate hate. They crave violence and suffering, and they feed on the souls of those they kill to power their demonic abilities. Sometimes that soul energy wanes and the demon is overtaken by a violent hunger. They become single-minded and violent, seeking only to consume. There are 10 tiers of demon, each one more powerful than the last. Anytime a demon consumes a soul, there's a chance they could move up a tier. That evolution can be instant or it can take years. And that means their evolution could be aided by consuming souls that are more corrupt than others. Like I said, there are several tiers of demon in Draw Steel, putting a ton of hellish variety in the hands of the director. But I want to focus on the first echelon, which is probably the most appropriate for a first level adventure. And I want to focus on one of those first echelon demons specifically, the Ruinant. Ruinants have multiple glowing eyes and mouths ringed by tentacles. Their bodies are covered in scars and they inflict wounds on their victims in the same pattern as those scars. Their signature ability is their bloodletting claws, which, if they get in a good enough hit, can leave a hero bleeding. While they're bleeding, they take 1d6 plus their level in damage anytime they use their main action or a triggered action, or make a power roll using might or agility. You can use the Malice resource to activate the Ruinant's Salt Wounds ability, a magical ranged strike that causes any target with reduced stamina to take corruption damage. They also have the ability to see hidden creatures within a certain distance, and they gain an edge on their strikes when they're running low on soul energy. Of course, strikes against them also gain an edge in that situation. Here we are at number 5, possibly my favorite foe in the Draw Steel Monsters book, War Dogs. Remember Ajax the Invincible's body banks that we mentioned earlier? Well, war dogs are evil soldiers built from the body parts of other humanoids that are stored in those body banks. Imagine Frankenstein's monster as a shock trooper. But war dogs aren't undead. They still have minds and wills, but any remnant of a soul that might remain in them is damaged beyond repair during the war dog manufacturing process. They're not capable of empathy or love, and their personalities and beliefs are highly malleable, which makes them, as the book says, the ideal disposable soldier for a discerning tyrant. War dogs are even more varied than demons. There are 4 echelons, and each becomes more bizarre and more powerful than the last. But we're focusing on a level 1 adventure, so we should stick to the first echelon. You have minions like the Conscript and Commando. You've got the Sharpshooter and the Brutish Amalgamate, a powerful war dog with several arms. I mean, you're piecing them together from dead bodies. Why not? There's the Eviscerite, which has a chainsaw whip, the magic using Pestilite, and more on up to the powerful Commander. And that's just the first echelon. Malice can be used to activate several abilities for these first echelon war dogs. They can rip apart a corpse on the battlefield and incorporate parts of it into their own bodies, or cast a ranged fire spell that can damage, slow, and even weaken your heroes. You can also give every war dog minion in the encounter a free strike at the expense of their stamina. Adventurers, those are the 5 best monsters for your first Draw Steel adventure, but I promised you a bonus monster. This monster would work very well in conjunction with Kobolds, but really any adventure would benefit. This is the kind of monster every fantasy TTRPG player dreams of facing. Our bonus monster is the Thorn Dragon. Thorn dragons take root, kind of literally, in places where the inhabitants suffer drought, fire, flood, and more. These dragons appear like living thickets of vicious thorns. They have twisting briar horns and wings made of tangled roots. They have no interest in treasure. They hoard food, even food they won't eat. Uncut gemstones, minerals, ore, wood, oils, spices, natural things. They lair in lush farmlands or forests, covering them in massive briar thickets and choking out every other growing thing. When a thorn dragon sets up shop in inhabited lands, local folk either relocate or slowly starve to death. Thorn dragons are more beast-like than their more powerful cousins. They can't speak, they act mainly on instinct, but they are smart enough to sometimes reach a tenuous understanding with the folk in settlements near their domains, trading food from its hoard for the kinds of treasures it wants. They're extremely territorial and protect their lairs fiercely. They'll scrape intruders across their thickets of thorns until they bleed to death, poison the thorns, or use their poison breath. You can use Malice to create a cage of thorns to trap an enemy, to grow massive walls of brambles on the battlefield, take extra actions, and make those poisonous thorns. Add to that the dragon's magical abilities, thorny armor, swinging tail, and more, and you've got a challenging and terrifying monster. This guy might be a little too much for a level 1 party just starting out, but once your heroes get some experience under their belts, he'd make a great boss battle to close out a 1 or 2 shot. Adventurers, those are my picks for the 5 best monsters for your first Draw Steel adventure, plus a bonus. What do you think? What are your picks? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And please consider supporting this channel by joining the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios or by hitting the join button right under this video. Now, thanks to the folks at MCDM, I'm giving away a free Draw Steel Core Rules PDF bundle. I'll select a random winner from everyone who does the following. 1. Subscribe to the channel. 2. Leave a comment stating the one thing I said D&D Combat does better than Draw Steel in the video I'm about to show you. The drawing ends at midnight Central on Friday, October 24th, and I'll announce the winners in a community post that day. If you're new to Draw Steel and you're wondering how its combat matches up to 5e, here's that video. Check out this video, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios.